importance of teaching for the development of any society cannot be overestimated. The government is therefore focusing on the training of literacy specialists as it pursues the strategic priority of human capital development. Also on Jamaica Magazine today, we remember Marcus Garvey, a man who committed his life to the improvement of a people. I am Theodore Henry. We have all this and more coming up.
The National Water Commission (NWC) is now on a drive to rapidly fix leaks affecting the water distribution systems across the island. 2 leak hotlines have been established. Report leaks by calling 733-5655 and 733-5656. You may also send a text to 838-LEAK. That is 838-5325. Remember that a little effort will make a big difference. Be a leak detective. Conserve on water today.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, July 30. There is no shortage of domestic food supply despite the continued drought conditions affecting the agriculture sector. Acting Agriculture Minister Derek Kellier gave that assurance at a press conference on Tuesday.
Let me assure you that as far as our staples, tubers, bananas, plantains, the country has enough supplies. Obviously, vegetables will be more susceptible to the impact of the drought, and our own projection is that we will see about a 20% fall off in production for the July to September quarter.
To address that, the ministry is providing $30 million through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority to help increase production in parishes least affected by the drought. Another $3 million will help farmers affected by losses due to fires. In total, approximately 1,600 hectares of crops have been lost or damaged due to the drought and fires in some areas. But the acting agriculture minister says there are still 200,000 hectares under production with an output value of $146 billion. He says members of Parliament have also arranged the trucking of water to farmers to save crops and the livestock that are being stressed by the drought conditions.
The ministry will make every effort possible to ensure that the nation's food supply is not compromised, nor the growth momentum in this vital sector reversed.
Meanwhile, State Minister for Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change Ian Hales says the ministry continues its interventions to help alleviate the effects of the drought.
We continue to work in the ministry by making allocations to the members of Parliament and to the councillors and to the parish councils across the country in seeing how best we can truck water to the citizens of the country.
Mr. Hales was speaking during a recent emergency drought management meeting at the Water Ministry. During that meeting, Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, Jeffrey Spooner, said up to the end of June, the island received only 33% of normal rainfall. He said the outlook for August through to October was also for below normal rainfall in most areas. Added to that, Mr. Spooner pointed to higher than normal temperatures and windy conditions that make it imperative for persons to desist from lighting fires outside.
So this minister has really exacerbated, especially if fires are started, the spreading of these fires.
In the meantime, the Water Minister Robert Pickersgill says the authorities will be taking advantage of the low water levels to desilt the Hermitage Dam. While answering questions in Parliament Tuesday, he said the exercise would increase the dam's water storage capacity so it can hold more when the rains finally come.
We expect to have extra storage capacity of 120 million gallons to 180 million gallons, depending on final specification of the RFP and dam security. This amounts to an additional 30 to 60 days worth of storage facility.
The National Water Commission has already started the procurement process with an engineer's estimate of the cost being developed. And finally, young people are being urged to avoid illegal quick cash schemes in a bid to become successful. The latest call comes from Minister of State in the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change, Ian Hales. He was speaking at the graduation ceremony for students at the Waterford High School in St. Catherine. Minister Hales told the students that if they work hard and remain committed to their goals and aspirations, they could become worthwhile citizens of society.
Anything you put your mind to, There is nothing that can ever stop you. Nothing in life can ever stop you. Once you apply yourself and you work hard.
And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Householders, business people, school administrators, protect yourself and your children from the chikungunya virus. Be on the alert. Help control the mosquito population. Chikungunya is a virus transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which breeds in and around your home, workplace, and school. Destroy breeding sites. Empty old tires and all other containers where water can settle. Bore holes in old cans. Cover water drums and garbage cans. Wash flower pots and vases and clean pet dishes regularly. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Cover your body as much as possible and use mosquito repellent containing DEET. And if you're experiencing symptoms of chikungunya, a sudden high fever, headache, rash, nausea, pain, stiffness, or severe joint pains, see your doctor or go to the nearest health center.
Education is a step-by-step process. One of the first steps is mastering the basics of literacy. But teaching literacy is a complex task, and it is for this reason that the government is enabling a corps of specialists to serve within the education system. Let's learn more about the Literary Specialist Program.
The National Literacy Team, with assistance from the United States Agency for International Development, to whom we are indebted, is providing direct support to 450 primary schools across the island through the deployment of 90 reading coaches at grades 1 to 3.
After that intervention last year, the Education Ministry is training another 66 literacy specialists this year with $1.4 million in funding support from the USAID.
What started last year was a special joint initiative between the US government and the Jamaican government in efforts to buttress the ministry's national literacy program, giving us the human resource that we need to actually hit the field full force over the next 2 years, the lifespan that remains for the program.
Work plan priorities for the first year focused on 3 fundamental areas of reading instruction, namely phonemic awareness, phonics instruction, and vocabulary development. Specialists were trained in the fundamental areas of literacy of assessment and diagnosis in reading.
For the second year of the work plan, they will be focusing on reading comprehension, reading fluency, and strategies and skills for development of writing among our students.
The 66 literacy specialists and another 12 literacy officers employed to the ministry are being equipped to train others called school-based literacy coordinators. They are being immersed in the ministry's National Comprehensive Literacy Program to ultimately help more students improve their reading and writing skills.
We particularly target these teachers because when we train them, they are expected to go back into their schools and train their colleagues in any of the fundamental areas of literacy that we would have trained them in.
We stopped by one such workshop for teachers being trained in Region 1, which comprises Kingston and St. Andrew.
And they're going to use transition words, finally, as soon as yesterday. It's important to get them to use transition words.
We are looking at a variety of topics. What we're looking at in this particular session is story writing, how we can implement it in our lesson plan so that our children are a little bit more excited about writing stories and having them organized. So by the time they reach grade 4, for the grade 4 literacy, they're very competent, and grade 6, we're looking for the 12 in the GSAT.
We've invited a range of teachers, coordinators, school-based literacy coordinators and teachers because we wanted to impact the schools as far as possible. So what we're doing is we are trying to target the problem areas that the National Inspectorate report, Education Inspectorate report, has indicated that there's a lesson planning issue. We're looking at lesson planning. We're looking at how we can target key areas of literacy to improve not only teachers at the primary level, but also teachers at the secondary level. All regions across Jamaica are participating and facilitating a summer training workshop for literacy.
Well, many of the things that we're learning in the workshop are very essential to the students because we learn, for example, differentiated instruction where we are allowed to cater for the different needs, learning styles, interests.
Right now, this session we are going through has to do with expository writing. Now, this will help our students to be better writers in the classroom, and they can also be helping them to see how they can bring their experiences into their writing.
In just 1 year since the program was implemented, students' performance in the Grade 4 literacy test has jumped from 72% to 76%. All this bodes well for Jamaica as students improve in their reading and writing abilities. Using this past success as an indicator, the ministry is convinced that the work being done this fiscal year will lead to further improvements in literacy among students, supporting government's strategic priority of human capital development.
And I do believe that when 2015 comes, we will be celebrating our 85% achievement and looking forward to sustaining and building on that.
I was all the more confident at the beginning of my own political career, knowing that Sir Howard represented a voice of reason and wisdom that I could always rely on for guidance. Indeed, more often than not, Mr. President, he summoned me to offer that guidance, having on occasion considered that I needed such counseling.
But Sir Howard practiced an engaging brand of politics, loyal to the party to the core, but never petty, never contentious, always reaching across to everyone, and always willing to listen and engage with any member of the community who got a chance to listen.
Self-educated, a black nationalist and Pan-Africanist, his message of pride and dignity inspired many and continues to resonate through the centuries. As we approach our independence and emancipation celebrations, let's review the life of one who cleared the pathway for others.
A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots.
No one remember old Marcus Garvey. No one remember.
A boy of humble beginnings, taking his first steps towards a life decorated and defined by the search for a proud black identity. The journey began on August 17, 1887, in a rural district nestled in the Garden Parish of St. Anne, where the union of a mason and a domestic worker birthed a living legacy of black self-empowerment.
When you hear him describe his mother, Sarah Jane Garvey, she had a different kind of influence on him. I think that he inherited a lot of her sense of compassion.
Marcus also inherited much from his father, Marcus Mosiah Garvey Sr. Together, his parents gave him a strong foundation starting at 32 Market Street in St. Anne's Bay. The Universal Negro Improvement Association, the Pan-African Movement, the Negro Factories Corporation, the Black Star Liner Shipping Company, all symbols of achievement to which Garvey could lay claim. But his life was more than the public platform familiar to most. Garvey was equal parts Pan-Africanist and father, equal parts orator and husband, scholar and son, national hero and lifetime student. As a young boy, Garvey developed a love of reading, first from his father's private library and later the more extensive collection of his godfather Alfred Burroughs. An apprenticeship with Burroughs at age 14 provided a platform for literary expression through the printing press. It's an influence that would find expression in several newspaper developments and publications throughout Garvey's life. Even as he trod the path of visionary, philosopher and scholar, Marcus Garvey was a family man. After a long courtship, he married Amy Ashwood in a private Catholic church ceremony, followed by an elaborate public ceremony and reception at Liberty Hall on Christmas Day, 1919. The union didn't last. But Garvey found love and family life again with his longtime secretary, Amy Jakes. The two married in July 1922 and had two sons, Marcus Jr. and Julius.
You can see letters that they wrote to each other when his sons were in Jamaica and he was in England. He has nicknames for them. He speaks to them the same way a loving father would speak to any child.
From the dirt tracks in a small rural community to a global stage promoting change, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey was the epitome of ambition.
When you look at his background versus what he was able to achieve in a very, very short time period, you have to recognize that it was ambition that was driving him. But most importantly, he had ambition not just for himself, but for people of his race. He wanted black people to be liberated in every sense of the word, not just physically, but mentally, economically, socially, and so on.
On June 10, 1940, a nation lost a hero. Humanity lost a world changer. Marcus Garvey was finally laid to rest in 1964 in Jamaica after 52 short years. The man from St. Anne's Bay had given black people a new way of looking at themselves. He'd told them to embrace their identity, that they could achieve anything.
Up your mighty race! Accomplish what you will!
No one remember old Marcus Garvey. No one remember old Marcus Garvey.
It's festival time again. Dust off your bandana outfit them and start waving the black, green and gold. Because from country to town, the excitement will explode with a month-long schedule of activities celebrating This is Jamaica, My Jamaica.
The Emancipendence celebration kicks off on July 31 with the staging of the Emancipation Jubilee down there in Seville at the Great House in St. Anne's Bay. We're also going to be having on the same night, right across the island, Emancipation Vigils in every town square where everybody is invited to come out for song and praise and worship, and then with the blowing of their bang at midnight and the reading of a proclamation. We follow this on the following day, which is August 1, with the celebration of drums, where right across Jamaica we are going to be moving to the rhythm of our ancestors in all the parishes. And then we culminate that night at the Ran Williams Entertainment Center with the ever-popular family entertainment Mellow-Go-Round. And this year it promises to be better than ever. On the 2nd, we're encouraging all Jamaicans to make this a family day. This is when we encourage families to go out and enjoy themselves at all the various scenic locations right across our island, celebrating our culture, celebrating our heritage. And that night, speaking about heritage, on that same night we're going to be having at the Randy Williams Entertainment Center International Ska Festival. And you'll hear more about that shortly. And then on the 3rd, we have what we call the Dutchy Food Festival. Now, this is one that is going to be finger-licking. We're talking about all the local Jamaican cuisine. Talk about turn your hand, make fashion. This is where you need to come and see, where we're going to be having on show, particularly our young people, drawn from many of the institutions that are, responsible for the preparation of foods and so on. On the lawns of the Randy Williams Entertainment Center is going to be transformed into a huge restaurant. We're going to be having live cooking demonstration, Mr. Basket, you name it. And then on the 4th, World Reggae Dance Championship. This is one of the fastest growing and most popular of the events on the JCDC's calendar. So, and of course, August 6th, we bring the curtains down with the grand gala in the National Stadium. And this year it is going to be the gala of galas. All our events, I'm proud to say, are rated G. It's for the entire family. And in addition to the various activities that are going to be staged at the national level in Kingston, we are proud to say that right across the island, through our island-wide network of voluntary parish committees and our staff on the ground, we'll ensure that in every nook and cranny of Jamaica, there is somewhere to go, something to do, something to celebrate.
This is Jamaica, My Jamaica, Festival 2014. For more on the schedule of activities, click on jcdc.gov.jm.
Big celebration.
It keeps our bodies working, our food nutritious, our living and working spaces clean, and our lives comfortable. Water, the most precious resource necessary for the sustenance of life on our planet. Don't waste it. Let's conserve on this critical commodity. In the house, invest in storage containers and buckets. Take quick showers instead of long baths, and invest in water-efficient shower heads, toilets, and faucets. You may also want to consider one-pot meals and cooking methods that don't require much water. You could also wash fruits and vegetables in a bowl and reuse the water on your plants or grass. When cleaning dishes, fill both sinks and use one for washing and the other for rinsing. The leftover water can be used to wash off the concrete or asphalt in your yard. If you must wash your car at home, aim for once a fortnight and use a bucket to do the washing instead of running the hose. Don't delay. Start your water conservation practices today.
It is still summer and many are planning their vacation. In our next feature, we embark on the unique experience of staycation, enjoying the delights of home.
Hi, morning, how are you?
I am wonderful. Good to see you.
Good to see you also.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Carr, as I told you by phone, I need help planning a vacation.
Okay, tell me what you'd like.
Well, I love somewhere with an active nightlife, but with some beautiful, quiet spots so I can relax in the daytime. Well, I'm also a bit of a history buff, so somewhere with a really rich architectural history would be nice. I'd also like to look at some of the quaint, not so expensive hotels, but then I'd also like to have a look at the really high-end ones. You know, just in case I can convince my husband to really splurge. What you got?
Sounds like you need a vacation right here in Jamaica.
I can get all that right here in Jamaica?
Absolutely.
That sounds wonderful. And you know, that would be in keeping with my new resolution to explore more of my own country.
Okay, we could probably look on Port Royal, maybe move over to St. Anne, Falmouth, and see all the historical architectural buildings.
Personally, when I was growing up, I would never consider vacationing in Jamaica because I always thought it was too expensive.
Accommodations in Destination Jamaica come in all shapes and sizes and cater to all pockets. Just a click on the JTB website can get you plugged into the links for villas, bed and breakfast spots, great houses, and a range of hotels. What attracts you to a vacation spot? White sand beaches, cascading waterfalls, sloping mountains, bustling marketplaces, sites rich in historic splendor, a culture that's second to none. From blue lagoons to mineral baths, Dolphins Cove to mystic trails, Destination Jamaica is far from short on attractions. How much do you know about Cousins Cove, where a Taino burial ground and cave paintings are said to be featured? Maybe a trip to this small inlet along the Hanover coastline is in order. Whether your flavor lies in fashionable events, big stage productions, nightclubs, heritage displays, or even, why not, a golf tournament, the destination that is Jamaica offers up a bevy of opportunities to exchange overtime excursions with production reports for exciting immersions into entertaining presentations. So, an out-of-office business retreat is needed to iron out a potentially profitable deal. You've got something new, something borrowed, and something blue. And all you need now is somewhere to showcase it all. From the Jamaica Conference Center in Kingston to the burgeoning Conference Center in Montego Bay, the island is packed with meeting and event venues for any occasion.
A lot of us grew up in Jamaica, we don't know even a quarter of the island. And I think it's in this time when the economy is so difficult, instead of taking our foreign exchange to go foreign, I think we should stay here and invest that money in Jamaica.
Not exactly your first concern when planning that dream vacation? Well, you're likely not the only one, but there is some value in recognizing that to vacation in Jamaica will benefit the local economy. That is likely to increase the chance of you affording to repeat that dream. So the next time you consider being bathed by the sun, drifting off to the lullaby of nature's breeze, toes dipped in cool blue waters, consider Jamaica. Because sometimes home, with its familiarity, can offer up exquisite surprises and fun new opportunities. And just think, no language barrier to contend with.
We've come to the end of the magazine for today, but tune in tomorrow for more updates on all things Jamaican. Please stay in touch. You can find us on the web, or you can send us an email or a message on our Facebook or Twitter pages. This and other programs can be viewed on our YouTube channel. I'm Theodore Henry. Remember, in the words of Sir Howard Cook, education includes teaching children not only how to read and write, but their responsibility in living.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.